Time to build these crucible tongs. So finally, got some steel, got some things cut up. I got a design, I guess you could call it that, although it's basically illegible gibberish. We'll get to that in a minute. I got some new lights. Is it sufficiently bright, blindingly bright enough for this camera here? I find this new camera needs more lights. It's messing with my eyes really bad, so it's gotta be bright enough. Back to the thing. All right, so here's my blueprint. See? A band, lower, these are square, higher. It's clear, right? Totally clear. You could just manufacture these like crazy off of my schematic here. It looks like hieroglyphics made by someone who got hit in the head a lot and couldn't understand hieroglyphics. But basically, I went over this before. I got these two crucibles, a big honking one, a slightly less big honking one, and I want one tongs to grip both of them, and there's going to be a hinge in the middle. And there was a video on this. If you go back a couple videos, I talk about all the things and what I was going to do, and now you're going to see it. Here are some of the parts. I will try to explain as they get stuck together and welded together. I did some cutting beforehand because I didn't want the sparks to damage my fancy new camera or the lights. See, I'm learning not to destroy my equipment. I can't give you exact measurements on any of these because I didn't measure any of these. I just eyeballed all of it. But I think these are 1/8 inch and then 1 inch angle. This I think is 1/8 inch and maybe 1 inch. Not certain, but it's roughly that. The idea is this goes on one side, these go on another side, and I'm going to use, where did I put them? Hold on, I'll find them. These bars, they're actually hollow. These bars as this bit. So I'm gonna model with the smaller crucible. It's basically tongs coming in from this side. I wanna be able to have them clamp on here and also fit on the bigger one. So I think if I make them so that at the absolute tightest, it's holding this, then if they're just a little bit open more, that'll be right for this. That's the idea anyway. And I want something that'll grab, that I can lift and tip, but I also want it not to fall out. What I'm going to do with these parts, these will go on the back here, these will form the top of one side of the jaws. Now these do a couple things. They wrap around. They also, this lip will stop it from falling upwards. These things, I want to put these kind of on the end here. These slots are there. I'll show you in a bit. They'll bend so they'll be able to wrap around. So they're going to grab it here. But that's only half of it, right? It's going to fall that way. So these are on here, and the handle is going to come from kind of this direction because I'm planning on having it here and then being able to pour it. This won't be up by the rim like this. It'll be down here. So this will be on the other arm. See that? See they're clamping? And you might think they're at different heights and that's gonna make it awkward, but my handles aren't gonna come in like this. They're gonna come in like, it's awkward to show with my arms, like this, at an angle. And that angle will be pointing right where I guesstimate the dead center of the center of mass will be when this is full of metal. Remember that last video where I explained all this? Go watch that one. I'm not going to go through it all again. Here, suppose I could just demonstrate with this. This will be about the angle that these are coming in. So one of them is going to hit the top of this, all welded together, and I might brace that up if I need to. The other one is actually going to be longer, and I'm going to have it bent around to meet up with this down here. Not sure how tough that'll be. Might have to reinforce later. We shall find out. That part, the hingy part. Words. It's really late. Did I mention it's really late? I always record these when it's really late. So this brought in, you can kind of see an issue that I have to pick a diameter, like, more open, more closed. And the diameter of this is not the same as the diameter of this. Do I fit it right for this one and have it too small to go on the big one? I'm thinking just make it a hair on the tight side for the big one. Perhaps that'll be roughly enough for that. Yeah, let's do that. The angles that I totally eyeballed for this definitely do not fit properly. Hold on just a second. All right, let's see. Oh, Butterfingers. Yeah, that still kind of works. Okay, cool. You follow that? I didn't say anything of use, I'm sorry. I haven't actually used this thing in a while, so let's hope I remember which button to push. So it's a bit tight, and a little tack welder. Whoops, I'm not that good at welding, I'm sorry. open just a hair. Actually, you know what? Just about completely closed all the way. Let's just ignore that, shall we? MIG welds are brittle and I have no penetration there. Close enough. How's that for work holding? Yeah. Wow, those welds are truly hideous. Not great penetration either, although not terrible. For me, anyway. I should probably mention this is galvanized steel. Try not welding galvanized steel. Don't do as I do. Just ever. Next up, I have these parts here, which I'm going to weld on, kind of on the corners. And I put these notches in there because you notice the side of this crucible, it's curved. Sort of parallel, no, it's not quite. It tapers in, and the rate that it tapers in increases as it goes down. So I put these grooves in there so I can like take this and now there's like a taper in there. And then I'm going to do the same down here. And now it's curved ever so slightly. And it curves a little bit more than the crucible, and that's on purpose because I don't want it to flush fit all the way down. I want it to mostly grab here at the bottom where it's curved in more because I want that to be picking it up from below, not like hugging it up here. Get what I'm saying? Just trust me on this one. And that's toasty warm. Still glowing toasty. Okay, so here we have the pieces. My welding has truly become the stuff of nightmares. As a mercy to all of you, I'm not going to zoom in any further than that. But I'm going to put these on, I'm thinking on the edges. And they'll be lined up, I think, fairly accurately. Let me just double check that they pinch well on the big one. I mean, that should be mostly serviceable. Yeah, I mean, there's always room for adjustment later. So I guess all there is to do now is just connect the things together with the hot metal gun or whatever it's called. Makes the sparks. As time goes on, I'm just going to be able to speak less and less. More gibberish. Maybe I'll drift into reciting song. No, again, as a mercy to all of you, I will not be singing. Is that fan loud to anyone else? I feel like it's loud. Should probably use a clamp for this, but I can't find a clamp that could possibly grab in this awkward of a way. So I shall be resorting to the traditional work holding method, holding on to the work. Let's see, how is that? Beautiful. I think since it's been so long since I've actually welded anything, I've kind of let my admittedly not so great standards slip even further. Is that a bad thing? I mean, I have one friend that I did some stuff on his car, and he seems to think like I'm some like really good at things person. And no, not at all. In fact, I told him repeatedly, no, I really don't like this job. I mean, I can't be the only one that thinks that way, right? It's like, I'm self-critical, but if I'm doing anything like this for somebody else, I kind of want it to be good. I think I'm just overly self-critical and picky. Who knows? That actually lines up really well. So we're gonna go with that. One more tack, then I'll just weld it all up. All right, even the tacks are ugly. Jeez. Man, those sparks are hot. Toasty, toasty warm. All right, and final check now that it's too late to make any adjustments. And it actually fits on that one flawlessly. That is perfect. And it's less flawless, but it is grabbing it. It's grabbing it down here. Looks good. All right, now we got to connect these. Okay, holds on really well. Now we got to connect these up to the arm parts. And since it is very late, I'm actually going to go ahead and cut to tomorrow. Okay, so for the rest of this, I'm gonna ignore the big honking one for now. So this one, this bracket thing here, I'm gonna plan on putting that opposite of the pouring spout. Even though in practice, like, why do they put those on there? Because after I've used the thing like 3 or 4 times, it's always so crudted up. Like, does it even work anymore? I don't know. I'm not the pro. I'm not gonna ask questions. So this goes on like there. This goes on like here. You know, somewhere kind of down there. And we want these to line up kind of like this. My plan is to have one of these attached to the bracket here, and I'm probably going to give it a little bend, attach here, and then the other one I'm going to take and shape it so that it kind of like wraps around here and doesn't stick on the corner here, but kind of a little more in the middle. Does that make sense? Probably not. Oh well, the grinder and welder makes it how it'll happen. So to start with, I'm going to try to line one up on this, and I would like the rods here to point kind of down at an angle and point where I believe the center of gravity is going to be, or thereabouts, on this crucible. So yeah, I'm just gonna line it up to like kind of go into here. Does that make any sense? I'm just kind of mumbling. I'm thinking out loud. I'm 3D modeling in my brain. There, well, as ugly as that looks, suppose I can give it the test. Okay, it holds. Now what you didn't quite see, because I didn't show you, I angled this out that way a little bit. So not only does it go up at a 45, but it kind of goes over. And that's because although this line here is pretty close to the center, it's still out to this way a little too much. I'll do a similar thing with this part. Attach a rod here, kind of crossing, and right where they're going to cross, I will straighten out the rods and put the hinge right through there. Does that make sense? Because it kind of makes sense in my head. Now, speaking of this other thing, I want to go here and line this up right like yeah. That's not going to be easy to cut. See, I'll just guesstimate a marking here. I am so not left-handed. That is going to come back to bite me, that line. You just watch. No matter, to the grinder. Wow, surprised I'm only off like 80%. I thought it would be a lot worse than that. Truly, that fit is hideous. I probably need a guide for what angle to put this at. Like right about there. Yeah. Whoops. Not jigging it up on the crucible here. I'm just gonna hold it in place, put it in attack. What could possibly go wrong? I know what could go wrong. I'm not wearing my welding mask. You ever do that? Like you got something over your face and you're like, oh, I'm wearing the mask. Clearly my eyes are covered. Those little safety goggles, they ain't gonna auto dim. Oh, look at that. About right on. Well, that was fortunate. Usually things don't go that well, especially because I'm sloppying my way through this really quickly because it's very late again. I know I said it's the next day. I was gonna wait till the next day. Well, it is the next day, and it's like 11 o'clock the next day. And we have company coming tomorrow, so I have like stuff to do. And you know what they say about welding projects? It's always best to rush them, right? Because that way you get them done faster without any wasting of time. I'm actually doing this as a series of tacks, so it's kind of like sheet metal. Even though this piece is 1/8 inch thick, this piece is pretty thin. The only way I can figure out to do this, because I'm not any good at welding, is to weld on the thicker part and kind of build up the bead until it touches the thinner part, which immediately melts through. And if I'm not careful, burns a big old hole in it. But it's gonna be enough to hold it, I hope. Famous last words, right? Truly hideous. I don't even have to brush the crap away at the slag to tell if it's hideous. Doing the test. Seems tough enough. I'm gonna do a little grinding before I present to the camera. How about that? Actually, forget that. There's not enough grinding discs on this planet to make those welds look good, so I'm not gonna bother. Let's just check the alignment, shall we? So that fits on there. You ever feel like you need another pair of arms? Okay, so that doesn't line up as well as it did 3 minutes ago. It's fine, I'll make that work. With a square tubing, you can cut it and kind of notch it and bend it, kind of like I did with these legs over here. So that's what I'm going to do. Gonna need one right about here. Notch. Bent up slightly. Should probably tack that into place. Need another one about here. Oh, look at that. I know you can't see it. Pretty, not great actually, but it'll do. Pretty much it'll do. Good. There we go. I just marked where I want those holes to go. Now I'm going to drill them. You join me now on the floor. Does anybody else spend time cleaning out their garage, getting a car out of there and everything, and then you realize you end up working on the floor anyway because there's too many things in front of the workbench? I even cleaned the surface of the workbench. There's like space on there, but I can't get to it. How did I hit a car in here? I don't have room to work after I removed the car. Bingo. Double check to make sure the hole's big enough. Oh, barely. Perfect, actually. You know, lately I've really been amping up the whole slap shot approach to all my projects here. Well, except that sewing table, I suppose that I took a little more care, and the other woodworking one. And I guess I'm lying. I'm not taking a more slap shot approach. I'm slightly curious just how far can I go of winging it, I say, holding a wing nut. How far can I kind of sloppy this up and actually have it still function? And also, it's getting to the point where it's a little bit uglier than I'm comfortable with. I don't know, leave your opinion. How ugly and slap shot of a project are you willing to do? I'm hitting the limit where it's too unattractive. And the holes weren't carefully lined up. And there, tongs. Now remember I said I wanted to close on this and these two handles be together? That's because I want to be able to hold them tight with the hand that I'm lifting them with. I'm going to accomplish that by doing this cutting. I'll try to get close here. This weld here, see, the cut doesn't go all the way through. It goes through 3 of the walls, and then I bend it and tack it together, and that gives me a little angled joint. I'm going to do that right in here so I can bring these together. So I'm just going to do like one at a time down here. I'm going to do them down here closer to the hinge because a tiny deflection here is amplified through the whole length of the lever. Let's see if this works. And drum roll to where it doesn't actually fit. It doesn't actually fit, but it does work. I have the strong feeling that all of this warped horribly. Oh, I'm blocking it. All of this warped horribly when I was doing the welding. So I'm gonna do a little bit of adjustment there, probably somewhere on here. I'm gonna set this on the ground and we're gonna do actually lift out of the ground test. Oh, I'll put it in the furnace. Yeah. Here we go, the medium-sized crucible. With the plinth block in there, you can see it sticks up just a little bit. Remember, if you watch me build this thing, there's actually a lot of headroom in the lid here. So the lid gives it like an extra that much headroom. Down in it goes, and up it goes. Then I can pour. Oh yeah, cool. I hope you don't mind, I'm not gonna film adjusting these arms to match, but I will cut in the very next scene. They will be complete. 3, 2, 1, now! And here it is. All I did basically was cut 2 grooves here, 2 grooves there, fold it together and weld it. I'll show you. I also did just years and years of grinding so that it didn't look quite as horrible. Made it look slightly less bad. I also, one of these arms here stuck out further than the other one, so I just cut it off even and put a little T-handle thing there. Okay, so here's looking down at the furnace. You see this dopey looking mechanism here. If I open it up, I can like slide it here between the walls of the furnace. Grab the crucible, grab that, lift up. And see, with the smaller one, I have to kind of cross a little bit, but I generally just hold it here at the cross. Then using this T-handle, let me get it in frame. This is pretty long. I can twist it very easily. I have nice leverage there. And because of this ledge along the top, I can actually flip the crucible upside down and just shake, 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 and it doesn't come out. Pretty cool, huh? And I can just set it down, open it back up, lift out. Now in hindsight, what I probably should have done is see how this comes at the top and this drops down? Well, this right here kind of hits that edge. So I probably would have liked this one straight and then made a sharper edge go down. I can change that in the future if there's a problem, but I'm just gonna try it as is for now. Here, let's get that out of there. Grab the big honkin' one. See, the big honkin' crucible, they don't quite close all the way. I'm holding them together. It's still pretty solid. I mean, I can flip it upside down and just shake, 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 shake. It's a little harder because this one's really heavy, but I still have good control, can set it down and lift out. One single piece of tongs, and let's see if I can get the sighting a little better. If you look straight down, wow, I have so much junk in the background. Because the end is angled, see it's angled at like a 45-degree angle. The top here is, well, not 45, but it's at an angle relative to the handles. These kind of point toward about here, which I think would be about center of gravity, which means when I go to tip, I can actually just push down on this, and it quite simply just rotates that. So the handles are a little bit actually above the center of gravity, so the natural weight of this thing wants to right itself, which is nice, and that's good for safety, but it's not by a lot. I'm actually just using one finger on my left hand to just twist it. And if the thing's being stubborn, upside down, shake, 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 shake. So now that I got this contraption nightmarishly welded together, I can now use those giant crucibles. To that end, I think I'll finally be tapping into the gigantic pile of motors that I have under this van here. I'm kind of curious, just how much aluminum can I fit into this larger crucible? Until then, let me know what you think of this. If you saw the other video where I explained all the features that I wanted, do you think this is a good idea? I mean, I'm gonna try it out, so I guess I'll find out whether or not it's a good idea. Also, for the record, I'm not using that bolt and this wing nut to like secure it for good. I just had this over there. Every time I go to open and close it, it actually loosens this wing nut. And that is a design flaw and a half, if you ask me. And yes, I'm only going to be using these two larger crucibles only for aluminum. It's important to keep your crucibles separate, and I can't think of any reason why I would want to melt half a gallon of copper at a time. These will probably work. Aluminum's not that heavy. Famous last words. It'll probably work.